Powell to come to the door. He said, I just started the not the Bell Telephone, this other radio show anyway. It was a very famous one. And he says, I can't do it because I'm doing this thing. He said, but you don't need to get anybody in New York. He said, call this kid in Lowell, Mass, Joe Allard. So it was about, oh my gosh, after midnight, almost 1 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang and I went to her. He says, may I speak with Joe Allard? She said, you mean the father or my son? He said, well, not the father. Does he play clarinet? Well, you mean my son. And so he said, Joe, he says, if you'll take a plane, he said, my manager will be there to make sure that everything's okay because we'll pick you up in Detroit. So I went, that's where we started from. You know, we just barnstormed all over the place that whole summer. And then when we go back to New York, he said, Joe, now we're going to be on location in Chicago. He says, I'd love to have you, but he says, it's not going to be good for you. He says, this is where you're going to do well. I know New York. And there's a lot of what you've got we're looking for. There's only one, and that's Chet Haslett. And Chet Haslett can't do it all. And Chet and you are very dear friends.
So it worked out fine.
Yeah, because, and especially with the Bell Telephone show, that conflicted with Castellanet's show. And he said to Don, he says, you know, Don, I was with the Castellanet show before I played for you. He said, I understand. And he said, but I think Joe's going to crack up. He's too young. And I had a pressure from here that was intense. I didn't know whether I'd played it. You know, when I got through. So I said to the flutist, who was the first flutist, Johnny Woolman, in the Philharmonic, I said, did I play that thing? He said, yeah, you did a damn good job of it too, Joe.
How do you deal with the pressure of performing when you've got to do?
Well, by the time the first note comes out, you're hearing the thing as a whole, more or less. You know, once you've practiced it about 150 times, you could. And I did it in about four or five different keys, and by the time it came to that,
you exposed it to different keys too.
Yeah.
So it's very important to pre-hear that phrase.
Oh, absolutely. Play. If you don't pre-hear it, it's not going to be any good.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very mechanical. I studied with Dufresne, the first bassist in Boston Symphony, who had got the highest honors at the Paris Conservatory. And in the beginning, he just started, you know, boom, 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 boom. All right, now. He says, now sing it all. He said, now play the do. All right, now do it again, but don't play it. But when you get to sing the last note, play the note on the piano. And I was a little bit high. He said, don't worry about that, that's all right. He says, it took you some time to get a good tone on your instrument. He says, and for you to use your voice, if you're not used to doing it, he says, it's just going to be strange. But he says, what you hear in your head will dictate some miracle that takes place in here. He says, don't worry about it, you'll do it. Do it again. Boom. The first thing I know, I started singing everything that I saw I wanted to sing. And that's what a lot of musicians don't do. They think about breathing, they think about the throat, they think about the embouchure and the chin and so on. And where's the music? There's none. And the best thing that I ever learned was from Hamlin. And it was this. You put the bell right around your knees, and you put your hand like this, and put your thumbs under the jawbone, and your fingers here to stop this. See, that chokes it. It chokes off the sides of the reed, you know, and the reed has to vibrate in a straight line, but that makes it a curved line, and it's choked. So then, what I had to do for Hamlin was my thumbs under the jawbone, and the fingers here to stop that lip, and then gradually take the fingers away and let you get, hopefully, you get the same result. So, the first thing I did was, that's very easy to do. And they say equal pressure all around the reed and mouthpiece so that air does not escape. But the French people never said anything about the air escaping.
Didn't bother them.
No, because if you did this enough, I'll let it leak this time. I practiced it. Now open the left side, open the right side, open the middle, and then feel that you're not going to do it at all. But you're not going to try for it to come down either. It just is a receiving body, so. You can't do it as well when you're doing this because there's tension there.
Tension gives you bad tone?
Sure. Here. It chokes it all off. And you get almost have a cramp in your stomach or something,
So this exercise helped you hear
very, very much.
that tone. Now, there's no change in the tone quality when you...
But when I first did it, I did this. And that's what everybody does when they first
tighten up.
Yeah, because they tell you, tighten the corners, make sure that no air escapes. Well, if there's no air escapes, you can't even talk either, So you could take your finger and flip this. There would be no tension. Just with the finger. Take your little finger. Well, this way, though.
Okay.
Your little finger, more gentle. And then
Yeah, all right.
Now I'll play a high note, too.
It's very relaxed.
Yeah.
Very relaxed.
So there's just enough so that if you take a look at it, what the hell do? I was shocked when I did this in the mirror. I played this so much, like here, and unknown to me, in order to close, this just by itself almost to do it, Look. She said, I purposely did this. Leak here, leak there, and then don't bother to leak. But it's not attention because it chokes you. All right. Now, what the average is, tighten the corners. Well, what happens to my voice when I do this? First of all, if it's going to happen to this like this to my voice, it's very nasal. It's going to be the same thing with the instrument, too. So if it doesn't work for the voice, this is the voice.
Just an extension of your voice.
It's an extension of your voice, sure. So that there is overtones out there down. For instance, you go on the clarinet, it does not play the octave. It plays the octave in the fifth. And so there it does give you a fifth. So you can go.
First three overtones of each fundamental.
Yeah, it's a very good idea because it gives you have to use your ear. There's no way that you can get the note if you don't hear it.
You have to pre-imagine that pitch.
Absolutely, you pre-hear it.
Pre-hear it. Mm-hmm. And then your body does something.
Sure, something happens in here. Everything happens at the larynx and at the reed. So you'll never know what it feels like at the larynx. That's below the threshold of conscious feeling. You'll never know what it is, what it feels like. But you know you can get the result. Once you get the result, then you know you've got it. Now, the only way you can get the result is by training. Your ear dictates to this laryngeal area, but you'll never know what in the world it feels like.
It's not like I'm going to close my finger now.
So that I can do that on quite a few different notes. You can play, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 different fingerings, and I can still hang on to that same note. Because this is so very, very important.
So it's a combination of your memory and your ability to hear that, that tone.
Sure. And if you read all the articles and everything, they talk about open throat. Well, naturally, an open throat, that's not what it is at all. You don't know you have a throat. When you have a sore throat, you know you've got one. And when the soreness has disappeared, what happens to the throat? You don't know you have it. So actually, when you're playing your horn, you don't know you have a throat. Yeah. What the lip does, it absorbs the excessive overtones. That's all it does. All it does is covers the reed. It does not try to put a pressure on there. It's the chewing that does everything. So. So you can have a lot of fun with this, and you can do the same thing on the alto. Now, brass men play an awful lot on their mouthpieces.
Really? They practice?
Sure, they just play with just the mouthpiece. Here you have an opening, and as you put a pressure, what happens to the opening?
Diminishes.
Right. And it's the same thing that they do. But now when I had the mouthpiece here, I could do it. See, because there was the other one. Or here. So you can get several. I can't do it very well with my fingers, but if you have this rim here and the rim here, it gives the muscles in this area whatever it needs so that this can buzz very easily. But then the minute you do it like this, you can't do it at all. So there's a great relation, and that's the reason why I started playing the scale on this mouthpiece. The brass people do it.
That was bass clarinet.
Yeah, and now the clarinet, the saxophone would be...
The alto?
Yeah. You can play a diminished 7, you can play a dominant 7, you can play an augmented 7, you can just have a lot of fun with it, you know.
You don't drive your neighbors crazy.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Now, at the end, I started to get kind of knocked out a little bit. But so you can play all the chords. You can play an augmented chord, a major chord, a diminished chord, or something like that.
The crescendo that you just did a little while ago,
you have to move along here.
So you slide the reed into your...
Well, you just slide it like this. Watch it.
Try it in a side profile.
Now, Tabitha used to say to strive to get 20 degrees of variety of intensities.
Loudness, amplitude.
Yeah. So I'm going to try and get from the loudest one, which would be the highest one. It's quite a little trick to do. It's not easy.
When you do that crescendo, is that the same thing that you do when the mouthpiece is on the horn?
Well, it makes it a whole lot easier, but I do the same thing. Yes, definitely. Whoop. Whereas if you try to play that softly here, you can't. But the idea is that the embouchure is not just her, no. Well, you can't say the alphabet like that, A-E-I-O-U. There's a A-I-O-U. You know, if you paralyze your lips, you just can't say A-E-I-O-U. So the embouchure isn't paralyzed.
The flexibility seems to be there.
Of course, because you want an accent, what are you going to do?
When you normally play, though, you don't always project your jaw. It's only when you need an accent, when you're playing an accent.
Exactly.
I think there's some overtone exercises that are good on clarinet and saxophone that you could show us.
Yeah, sure. Let's say, shall we do? I'll get the sax.
Do the sax first.
I accidentally fingered low F one day after I had taken the flute lesson. I was playing at the Mount Washington Hotel with just a flute, clarinet, and I played saxophone only when they had dancing, which was when the old folks had their grandchildren come with their friends, you know, and they'd raise holy hell. And before, when they were not there, it was just like a morgue, you know. And so there was this flutist, Harry Muscovich, who had played with the St. Louis Symphony. And he had a golden, solid gold flute. So one day I said to Harry, Harry, we've got plenty of time in between, you know, playing at the big house. And I said, I'd like to take some flute lessons. He said, do you have a flute? I said, no. He said, how can I give you lessons if you don't have a flute? I said, what the heck? Let me play your flute. I never did that before, Joe. I don't like doing it.
It's a gold flute.
I said, I'd appreciate it, you know. So he said, all right, now, he said, this is low F. Unlike a saxophone, when you play low F, you put the octave key on, it gives you an octave. But on a flute, you can't do that. You just have to direct the air. You know, you push your lip further upon that opening until it goes from large to small, and it'll come. So I had some fun with this. Now, I don't know, a few days later, I picked up my horn and just fingered low F, not thinking about the flute at all. And I'll be darned, I got middle F. I didn't have my finger on the octave key. I said, I'll be darned. So then I started like this.
Without the octave key.
Well, without the octave key. And then I did that until it was just a lot of fun. And it gave you a good feeling about what to do with that particular note, you know? So, in other words, if I go from here, now if I depend on that octave key, I'm just going to go, there's no intensity there. There's the other way without the octave key. So it's good for you on alto to do it because there's much more projection. There's a greater intensity because you think, the octave key gives you something. Yes, what is it? It's a leak key. It causes a leak. But now sometimes that leak is too much. And if you've got imagination, you'll use it. But when you know how to play it without using the register key, then when you use the register key, it's never going to fall. But you'll know how to get that intensity.
So you don't depend on the register key.
Right, right. Now, for instance, like here. That was the first time that I experimented with the overtones on a saxophone. I'd never done it until I did it with the flute. And then I had to do it on the clarinet, and the clarinet is an entirely different field. First of all, you can't get an octave because the clarinet's built in an octave and a fifth. But once you do it on the clarinet, it's really very interesting too. There you go. You can go. I'm amazed that I can actually do these things. I haven't done this in a long, long time.
Now, can you go similarly through the overtone series of a saxophone?
Sure. This is a 12th, but now the saxophone is built in octaves, so it's a whole lot easier. Now, the F is an overtone of low B flat. So here's B flat. So it's all what you hear. It's amazing what this little rascally thing doesn't, and you'll never know what it feels like. I can sing it. No, I have to breathe in to do that. And that's all in here, and it's the same thing, except here you hear the result. Here you hear the result. But you have to hear it, because if you don't hear it, my gosh, it's impossible.
Lost.
You're lost, sure.
It's quite a discipline to do that. How long did it take you to do that?
Oh, I don't. I never cared how long a thing takes, as long as you do it. You know, if you start worrying about how long it's going to take you to do it, you'll never do it. As you said, if it's going to take you 2 weeks, it's going to take you 2 minutes, it's going to take you a half hour. You just monkey around with it, but don't let it get you. Don't be disappointed if it doesn't come out. Just, I'm going to relax. Put it down and pick it up, start it again, you know? Yeah.
Joe, could you show us how you prepare a reed? When it comes right out of the box, what is it that you do to it before you put it on the horn?
Wet it and make sure that the edge is not corrugated, because then, if it is, once the one that's nearer to the facing would shut and the other would stay open and split your reed.
Really?
Yes.
So you keep moistening it, and what if it doesn't quite curve, like go flat on you?
Then, like in this particular case, I'm just going to try...
Unless you slide that in, too.
Yeah, you slide it this way, because if you put it like this, one of my teachers was playing the Mozart clarinet concerto with the symphony orchestra in Zurich. And he was a little bit nervous because he was playing the Mozart clarinet concerto. It was a long introduction for the orchestra. And he was nervous, and so he took the reed and the ligature off. And he went like this and broke the reed.
Right before he had to play.
Before he had to play. Then he had to walk off the stage, and the orchestra had to repeat the introduction. And when he came, now he would never let you put the reed on the mouthpiece like this because of his experience.
So show the proper way. Yeah.
Well, now see here, this isn't going to do the reed any harm. So you're going like this, and then you adjust it to where it is going to be, and you'll never hurt the reed with the ligature.
So this is a brand new reed out of the box.
That's a brand new reed out of the box. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to vibrate this reed with the space shut here, vibrating this side. Then I'm going to shut this one, vibrating that, so that it'll tell me which of the two sides is harder than the other.
Gotcha.
So now we're going to put the pressure on the right side of the reed, on the left. They're both too hard.
Too hard.
So now, do you have a pencil?
Pencil.
Well, I'm not going to go any further than the 16th of an inch along the reed. Now, for instance, what I could do would be.
This is a guide for you to help you.
See, for you, not for me.
Yeah.
And then I would do it. Then, now I don't do it this way because it doesn't do it quite as nicely.
Your angle.
So that, yeah.
It's quite a sharp little knife you got there.
And always make sure that your finger's under this, because if you go like this,
Break the reed.
yeah, and you try a lot. Now, doesn't that sound a whole lot easier than before? But it's still not enough. Mm-hmm. I see that's practically all gone now.
All the pencil lead is gone.
Yeah, but it's reed that I'm shaving off. In other words, I'm thinning this side of the
I notice
reed.
you stay away from the center.
Yes, because I want that in the center.
It's the heart. 18.
I see the right is fine, but the left does not vibrate well. So now we'll do what we did.
Should the reed, when you place it on, be right at the tip of the mouthpiece?
Well, see, as it is now, it's not curved. But when you do this...
When you press it down so that it's closing.
Yeah, so you have to press it down. Now, there's a tiny, tiny bit of the... This is, nothing but a very, very narrow thing, which is the way it should be anyway. But in this particular case, I would say...
So you press the reed down.
Yeah. Now, the right, I like the way the left goes. Now, I've got to take some wood out of the right because it doesn't give me what I want. Now, I'll shut the right and vibrate the left. Here. That's the double high C. So if I had taken too much if I had taken, instead of here, taken it in here, the thing would shut and I would lose all the highs. This way here I retain the highs, but now I can play whispery if I need, and I still can shout. Now you've got the entire, from the lowest note to the highest note that's ever used. And that high C is very seldom used, except in practice.
Is there anything that you do to the lay side of the reed, the side of the reed that's facing the mouthpiece, that fits on the flat surface of the mouthpiece?
Well, when the reed, I play it as it is now, and all of a sudden, it doesn't play well, all right?
I mean, you've been playing it, say, a couple days?
Oh, no, not that much. No, for about 15, 10 minutes. It doesn't play well. Then when you see it, this is all saturated with moisture. And when it's on your facing right in here, it's going to cause it to leak. So what you do is you take this piece of paper, white on both sides. One time I didn't have it.
No ink.
And I did it, and you know that the pressure, like this, I put my fourth finger here, and the middle one here, and I go through like this with a lot of pressure. You'll take those swollen fibers and push them right back so that it's the fibers and the spaces are just perfectly flat.
You take a flat piece of glass or
or window pane.
Window pane.
But this happens to be here, so it's easier. You see how smooth that is now?
Very smooth. So all the fibers get mashed in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that helps it fit on the lay of the mouthpiece better. Sometimes my lower lip gets cut from playing. What can I do about that?
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, this definitely, right here, you have a real sharp point. Okay, now, at the very point right there, it's sharp as a knife. And when he's putting that, and his teeth are pushing that lip in there, it's going to really hurt the lip. So the best thing to do is to take a little sandboard like this.
So you're getting the lower teeth in a flat plane.
Well, see, between this tooth and this one, this has a little bit of a peak. And boy, that hurts. And now, you put your lip over your teeth and play, and see what the feeling is as your teeth push your lip into the reed.
Much more comfortable. Is there something that a player can do if they're going to play a long amount of time to minimize the cutting into their lip? And I've got it smoothed down.
You take that sandpaper, which I did for years, and the Boston Symphony people never played a note unless they put
take a cigarette paper.
I guess this was done way before the days of pop. Now, as you go into a drugstore and you want to buy the paper, they don't give a damn, but they sort of kind of give you a dirty look. And one time I was given a dirty look, and I said, listen, you've got a big mouth in your eyes. I said, well, you think that I'm going to smoke pot? And if I did, it would be none of your damn stinking business. And you cannot stop me from buying this paper that I have in my hand.
So what do we do with this paper now?
Well, you just fold it up, yeah. And then that gives you a very good, you put it up. I will do it on the outside first. It doesn't matter. But
you say that there was some of your classical music colleagues that had a metallic element that they put over their bottom teeth?
Yes. Defaye, who's the greatest concert saxophone player I've ever heard, even better than this teacher, Muir. He's a genius. He was a genius at 5 on the violin. He's extremely musical.
And he plays with a cover over his
Oh,
door.
yes. Well, he got that from me. And it's something that a dental technician will do for you. And I played first clarinet in the Bell Telephone radio shows, and I played first clarinet in the Band of America. I got stuck with all the solos. And the 3 days after I had this in, and I told the conductor, I said, Paul, I just had that surgery. He said, Joe, there's nothing to play, come on. There was a clarinet and then he goes, nothing to play. And I asked the other guys to play. He said, oh, no, Joe, no. I can't play that like you can, no. And I almost had tears running down my eyes because I was scared. But it came out very, very well. And when I play, I do this. And it just barely touches the top teeth. And I've been able to get along all these years.
So by necessity, you don't push down on the top with your teeth. You don't rest them out.
And this is a receiving. That upper body of teeth is only meant to receive the force generated by the lower set of teeth. And it's in your chewing muscles. And you can do that all day long. It will never hurt the teeth. And if you do this, you really hurt yourself.
What is the lip doing when you...
The lip absorbs the excessive overtones. You could play with your teeth, but it'd be horrible. Here it is with the teeth. But at least I got that much. Now, that's teeth on it. Now, the teeth, that would be just like a wooden hammer without a felt striking the piano wires. You would have so many overtones that you wouldn't be able to tell what the pitch is.
So you have a strong upward pressure.
Strong enough. You can't play with the reed space open. You can't play with it closed. So somewhere between open and closed in your ear is the thing that's going to tell. In piano, the hammers which strike against the piano wires are covered with felt. Now, the purpose of the soft body of felt is to absorb the excessive overtones. So, if I put my teeth on the reed and the teeth on the mouthpiece, which would be just like playing with the wooden hammer striking the piano wires, you'd have too many overtones. So here it is, here.
Very harsh.
Now, which one sounds more?
No question.
Yeah. So all the lip does not exert. The lip cannot exert.
It's not tight here.
If you're here, the chin is wrinkled. Now the chin won't be like the books will tell you, tighten the corners. No, if you tighten the corners, this is what the voice sounds like. Whereas if you do this, you get a lot of lip on that reed, and it feels great. And you can verbalize, you can express all kinds of emotions, whereas if you do this, you just can't. Because it's all too nasal. Too many highs, not enough lows. Because these things are based upon no values. And Ortega y Gasset said, a man's feelings can be wrong. Because when you learn, they were based on poor, no values or poor values. And this great philosopher it's a good thing that I read it.
Intuition can be wrong. And a student has to unlearn some things.
Sure. So it's equal pressure all around the reed and mouthpiece. If you took a string and did this, what would happen to the sides of the reed?
Tight.
It would be curved. And then you wouldn't be vibrating the reed properly at all.
Is that what causes squeaking?
Well, it can cause anything. Sure. It can cause the squeaking. Yeah. I would say 99 out of 100. The reason for that would be cutting corners. And then you really have to work hard. Because here's tightening the corner. It just doesn't do it. Where here, In other words, I can do this, and do this, I can do this. Then what do I do here? There's not much pressure there at all. There shouldn't be. The pressure belongs right there in the middle of that reed.
Can you take your upper teeth off the mouthpiece and play?
Sure. Of course, it's better to do it. See, there's too much wiggling the other way.
So it's a receptacle for the mouthpiece, right. But you don't put downward pressure on the mouthpiece.
If you put downward pressure, what's going to happen in here? Yeah.
Tightens.
Sure, tightens. It closes because nature says, hey, cut that out. That's a warning to you. The minute you go, it's a bad feeling. The worst thing in the world. To try and use your top teeth to exert instead of what?
That's like chewing.
Definitely.
I also notice that your upper part of your head, your skull, does not move when you take a breath.
No, that's right.
You should stay still.
Yeah. So the best way to take your breath is very. It's a great, great effort. It's not logical.
Where is your tongue when you put the mouth?
The tongue is an extension of the reed.
How so?
Well, let's say here is the reed, right? And the tongue is here. Now the front edge of the tongue goes where? At the floor of the mouth. See, right now, just relax. All right, now, in this inactive position, the most natural thing for the front edge of the tongue is to be beneath your lower front teeth and to touch the gum. It's just, you keep it there and try to talk. I can't talk because it's not the thing. It's the
inarticulate.
It's the inarticulate position, but it's the natural position when you just simply have nothing to say. Quartz, who died in 1706 or something like that, wrote an article, and he played all the instruments in the orchestra, from the piano, the organ, the oboe, the bassoon, the trumpet, trombone, tuba, and everything. He was a genius, and the composer. And he said, in flute, the position of the tongue is as if you were saying, where the sides of your tongue are anchored firmly against the sides of the back teeth. Yeah, it's a little bit too far.
You want to try the candle?
Well, I'd rather do it with, here. Although he doesn't have much hair there. No, you can't do it. I could do it with him. You hold the camera.
Let's do it here. Let's do it with the candle.
Well, it's,
Let's try it the inarticulate way.
Now, there's a lot of noise there, right? That's open throat. You don't live with an open throat. You don't know you have a throat. The only time you know you have a throat is when it's sore. And when the infection goes away, what happens to the throat?
No sensation.
So now, T. So you want to move that reed. Now, this is called the tongue of the soprano. So therefore, it's logical. If I play it like this is ridiculous because it's got to go like that. Whereas here, here.
There's sufficient airspeed to cause the...
Yeah. And the opening here is very, very small.
Very small. It's a millimeter.
And now,
thick.
you don't feel anything. So if I'm going to go... Moise wrote this beginner's first flute exercises, you know, and he has middle C, half note, half rest, B, half note, down to low C. And when you take your breath, you drop the jaw. Now, it's the same thing, even though this isn't the flute, but you're not going to go, You've got to find the reed all over again.
I've seen people breathe through the sides of their mouth.
No. Now that feels just like speaking. Ba, 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 ba. I'm not doing anything with my tongue. It's just a jaw. A, E, I, O, O. You're not doing anything with it strange with the tongue at all. And if I move the tongue, I'm all choked up. O, A, O. And then you drop that tongue. Where's it go? It's just, the larynx is very clever. It knows how to protect itself. And so it's going to do something just to close it up just because it's trying to give you protection. And when I took my first lesson from Hamlet, he said, Allard, vous êtes français? Quand j'ai dit tu, vous comprenez? In other words, Allard, you are French speaking. When I say tu, you can say tu just like I can. But the Americans come, I say tu, and they say tu. What can I do? So it was kind of, now as a kid, boy, I was so proud of the very fact that my first language was French because I thought I was going to play better clarinet. So I can touch right here, that's one. I can touch at the edge of the reed, that's two. And I can touch under the edge of the reed, that's three. So here, at the edge, under, if you want to say dip, dip.
That's under the...
Then you just shut that reed very tightly. But if you're just going to do it very, very lightly, you can tongue between the reed and the mouthpiece.
Is that useful musically?
Now I'll touch the edge.
Midriff. Midriff is getting smaller. What was that last?
Well, because you've got to get rid of the carbon dioxide.
That's the bad air in your lungs?
Well, it's not bad air, it's carbon dioxide. There's a certain small amount of carbon dioxide. And if you don't get rid of it, it ends up by taking up more space in the ribs and lungs than otherwise.
Than you would need, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some good exercises for a wind player or a singer to do?
Absolutely.
Can you show us what
Sure.
those are?
Yeah.
Oh,
This way?
this way.
All right. Yeah. I'll bring the heels. Well, some people are not quite as slender as I, for instance. But I bring my heels to touch my buttocks. And then get my heels off, and my ribs are now raised. And so the only thing is the diaphragm will function.
This is raised.
that the exhaling is really, let's say the ribs are capable of 1/3 of the breath, and the diaphragm 2/3. But you can't feel the diaphragm. You can feel the effect of the muscles going this way. So it exerts the pressure on the first part of the abdomen, which puts the pressure on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so on and on. That's how it functions, you know. Now, there's a woman doctor who got involved in a process of studying with the best of the vocalists in Europe and the United States to make a report about the breathing. And she said that it seems that the diaphragm has dramatic appeal, whereas the diaphragm is responsible for 2/3 of the breath, the ribs 1. So if all the outside breath, letting go. So it's 1/3 the ribs and 2/3 the diaphragm, and it's the most logical. And anatomically it's sound. And if you do the exercise, it's so painless, you know, that you get in the habit of doing this, and the first thing you know, when you get up, it feels so, it's a groovy feeling, shall we say.
Joe, are there some aspects of fingering that a student should know about? Fingering a wind?
Well, that your fingers should not do this. Because now when you get, they shouldn't get off the pearls. And that's tricky. So you have to just do an exercise like this until your finger does not get off the pearl. Now, you wouldn't have to do that. That is an exercise to give you an idea how your fingers, and then the pearl itself has a little bit of a indentation. And so then you feel that you're right in the middle of it, not on the sides. You know. So it's here. There, the spring does the whole thing.
Where did you meet John Coltrane?
Oh, gosh. The first time I met Coltrane, I guess, was with Eric. Eric introduced me to Train.
Back in the 50s? Or?
Yeah, early 50s.
Early 50s.
Maybe 48, 49.
And Harry Carney studied with you, too?
Yeah. Yeah.
He studied bass clarinet or baritone?
No, he studied bass clarinet with me. And then, when he made his first solo album on baritone, he said, Joe, he said, if I had not studied bass clarinet with you, I would never have learned to play baritone the way I did, because I transferred many of the things that I did that I learned on bass clarinet, and I found out that it worked much better on baritone. You know, so I feel like I studied baritone with you. He was a hell of a nice guy.
He played in Duke Ellington's band?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that I never asked for lessons. There was Lyle Boland, who owned a studio. But most of this was just for him to take naps. And his wife wouldn't let him practice at home, so he practiced there. But then I used this little couch, and there was a bathroom right next to me, and I'd have to go to the Y for 25 cents to take a shower once a week, because I didn't have any more money than that, you know. So it was a lot of fun.